Um, I just came to this conclusion because, sorry, let me just clean the camera. It's just looking a bit messy. I came to this conclusion because I feel like, oh, somebody sneezed. Why did I hear somebody sneeze? I'll be back. Hold on. What? Can't be exposing myself. Hold on. You know, I just believe, I do believe. Okay, so, what was I? Yeah, I do believe, it's on its way to being a superpower because I just feel like the Earth would benefit if Africa was a superpower. And despite all the negativity, in 5 years, I can see it happening in 5 years. Um, and it's going to be really rapid, and I just think it's going to be a full circle moment for Africa. I believe there'll be good things happening, and then I believe like the true history of Africa will also be unveiled. It will be unveiled, and I think that we will see like a African Renaissance global will be taking place, and I think that will mean that will mean so much like for the planet, because like they're using the whole propaganda of them flying to space. Like I believe that that's propaganda for white supremacy, saving those astronauts. That I believe they left them there on 9 months there on purpose. They could have brought them back, but they didn't want to. But now Trump and Musk came and saved the day. Like I believe that's the new Cold War. What they just did. Um, uh, they're trying to be like leaders of innovation and space and all that. And us ancient Africans, we know who we are. We know who we are because we had colonies in space. We've been doing time travel from the beginning of time. We had colonies in Mars. We had the most ancient technology, and they, for years, tried to downgrade African intelligence. We invented intelligence, we invented maths. But they really, really, past 100 years, have been disgraceful to Africa and Africans with their media, writing false narratives about the people, disrespecting Africans. And the thing is, the earth remembers how they treated Africans. Africans remember. We don't need to be proving our worth to these people. We know who we are, and we know who we will be. The world, the globe was in our hands. We conquered the globe. Like, we knew everything before these people suddenly learned and came out of their caves and stopped being savages and stopped eating each other because they were cannibals. These people had no idea what silver and gold was, while it was like, you know, literally, they had rivers of silver, and these people who were at that time cavemen, barbarians, had no idea what gold and silver was. Black people were going there, getting the gold and silver, using it because the natives of Europe had no idea what it was. They learned hundreds of years later that they could, so it is worth quite a bit. Like let's utilize it. But for decades, for centuries, Africans were just they didn't even have to colonize them. They just literally went and took it. And these people were so backwards that they felt sorry for these cave people, these backward people living in caves and living uncivilized. Um, they didn't conquer. They didn't do that. They civilized. That's what Africans are. That's what we did. But after all that, like when we introduced languages, when we introduced, you know, technology and civilization, they want to turn around and apparently claim that they civilized Africans. They introduced stuff to Africa, like the disrespect, when Africans are the ones that taught you these things. And And you relied on Africans to teach you how to be humans, like, because that's like how to be civilized, because that's where it has always come from. Like the root had always come from Africa. Like these people that had come out of Africa, their religion was Africa, and they relied on the source, the African source, to revive and give that mindset, that fresh mind from the continent, that good mind, that regenerated mind, just like the Nile just comes out and spreads. And that's why the ancients absolutely adored Africans. And that's why we introduced religion to them. And that's why they see us as gods, because we colonized the globe without force. We did it through culture, religion, faith, how to be civilized, how to live in a civilized manner. That's how we conquered the earth, and they willingly accepted. And also, like, we didn't need to shed one blood, we didn't have to do no war because there was a smarter way of doing it. And, they benefited from African knowledge and African civilization. But what they did was they got stronger and then flipped on the Moors, the blacks, and, reinvented a fantasy history that, somehow they're the ones that civilized Africans, and they're going there to do, like, they flipped it and reversed it and then erased the history and hyped up themselves, and invented a fantasy history about themselves and how civilized they are. And then what do they do? They discovered travel, and then they went to these countries where the natives were living in harmony, perfect harmony, and took over their land and murdered them, and wiped them out within less than 100 years. And all that ancient knowledge, because those people were like around during the Atlantean civilization when Africa owned the whole world, because the Atlantis empire stretched from East Africa, Ethiopia, all over the globe. And that was the Atlantean global. So these ancient tribes that the Europeans had decimated and killed off carried a lot of ancient historical information through their language. They went and wiped it all out. They wiped out the Earth's history, basically, and everything was gone. When they conquered their land and burnt their, artifacts and gold. However, they couldn't subdue the Africans because we carry millennia of greatness, through the times of the pharaohs. Like, that greatness can't just be wiped out. Like, we adapted, and our people obviously were scattered around the world through slavery, but we still have that fighting resilience from, the great time of the pharaohs. And obviously the heart of Ethiopia, of Africa, Ethiopia, couldn't be invaded because that is a sacred territory which God had always protected. So I believe that there will be a re-emergence of that Atlantean African empire that was once on this earth. It will be revived again, and we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot more unity with Black people, because they had to work on division 24/7. They had to work on the Kool-Aid, the media, the negativity to delay this. But it's written in the prophecy that, and I believe that we are approaching that season, and they're working around the clock to prevent this prophecy from taking place. And it's taking place in real time. I can see it. It's happening. There's a shift. and people are aware that there's a shift. And there'll be a time when Africans just, we don't need to be walking around with our heads low, and we know who we are. We don't need to. We should be able to know who we are. The information is telepathic. It comes from the ancestors, and you should be able to know who you are, and you should be able to see the shift. And the Most High, will let those know. And we carry that aura, like the old days of blending in and being confused, living in the matrix of Babylon. We're seeing it crumble, and we're not getting involved. We're not fighting for any cause that doesn't benefit us, and we're just slowly waiting for the Messiah to come back and grace us, with his presence. But we are seeing a lot of signs, a lot of changes, and it's been speeded up. And we just have to just watch and be vigilant. Other people are noticing the shift in the air, the change. And you know what? We just have to sit this one out and observe and get ready and strategize. Because, God says in the Bible, those that, hate my people, I will hate, and those that like my people, I will elevate. And it's got to a point where you can't go around disrespecting Black people, hating on Black people, and think you're going to get brownie points. Because the Most High Creator will, eventually sort you out. You don't get brownie points by being racist to Black people, because the earth will open itself up and swallow you, literally, because the earth is sick of the disrespect of Black people. And, it's sick of it. Like, the earth literally is sick of racism. Like, it gets to a point where the earth will shake. I mean, today I just witnessed a power cut. The power cut literally went off for a few seconds. I looked outside, street lights were off. So again, that's a sign. It's a sign that, this is the time that we're going to be living, and we're going to see a lot more power cuts. There was a power cut in Heathrow, for F's sake. 2 days ago, the whole Heathrow airport was shut down because there was a fire in the electricity power point. I don't know what's going on, and it's so strange. So everything in Heathrow was just standby. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who done it. Why would there be a fire there? And it's just showing you like what's happening and stuff. It's almost the end of the financial year. The whole of the city is trying to get paid. So they're digging up the flipping roads. They're digging up so much road so that they can get their money. There's no need to be digging up the roads. They're causing so much inconvenience, so much traffic. You wonder why there's a bloody power cut? Because everybody's digging at the same time. No coordination. Loads of traffic everywhere. God knows what they're doing, and I think it's not good. Like for the power supply, because everybody's digging up all sorts of wires and stuff. And anyways, I hope we don't see power cuts. I mean, nobody wants a power cut, but it was so weird how just everything went off, like, and then it came back on. It's almost like somebody's like testing, like, ding. So I think we need to start stocking up in candles just in case, like, or buy like a mobile gas or something. Just in case, because we're going to see a lot of changes and we just need to be alert. That's what we need to be, alert. Anyway, For those who are Lenting, happy Lent. How's it going? It's a very, very tough Lent. I feel like it's a very tough Lent. And yeah, but it's so needed. It needed to be done. And yeah, just wanted to talk about that.